So out of the box or out of the wall, whatever you want to call it, we have, oh, so close, Den of Thieves. So the reason I am watching this is due to the fact that there's a second one coming out this weekend. I don't know if I'm seeing it Monday with the movie Mystery or if I'm seeing it Thursday night. But you know what? It's a rewatch because it's been 7 years for the sequel to come out. 7 years. Is it worth it? Let's find out. Chase Liaki here with the Blue Futon reviewing Den of Thieves. What's about pretty simple premise. Cops, robbers, bank robber. Who's going to get who? How are they going to do it? Will the cops find all the people? What's going to occur? Pretty simple premise. That's what it is. Bank robbery. But it is a good film. It truly is. It brings back the Heat era. It brings back these old school 80s, 90s just grittiness and slow burn movies that truly are fun to watch. Yes, you could say that this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes. It is pretty long, but I didn't really feel the runtime due with all the different characters, the different scenarios that are going through, and just the overall gravitas and the longevity of what is actually occurring. Because this is about, I would say, 2-week hiatus in a movie with the majority of the storyline. Of course, there's stuff that happens like flashbacks, if you want to put it that way, that make it longer. But this is a nice 2-week-ish just, okay, this movie works. I'm understanding what each character is going for, how some of these cops are just complete assholes, and they're not really real cops, if you want to put it that way. They're the cops that don't give a fuck. Then you have the bad guys that, like they realize once they kill a cop, they're really on. The sights are setting in on them. So, positives. I think the acting in this movie is pretty damn good with Gerard Butler, Pablo, Schreiber, O'Shea Jackson, and 50 Cent. Honestly, they all play their parts. The other cops, pretty damn good. The bad guys, or you want to call it the thieves, pretty damn good. Each character involved, pretty damn good. It's the seriousness of this movie where I think gravitates me to like it even more. Because you have some of these cop and robbers that are kind of like, oh, it's kind of a fun movie. You have the Kevin Smith lift. And any other like cop and robber movies now, it's kind of like a zany kind of like, oh, we got to add some humor into this movie. This doesn't. Like I said, this is the heat when it comes to Val Kilmer knowing how to unload or load and unload magazines and clips and guns. Because of course here we have ARs, we have pistols, and it's the same way here. You feel the sound effects. Maybe it's just because of my surround sound being at home, but this reminded me of Heat when it came to you felt the bullets. You heard the casings, and thank God this movie did it, where the casings were actually coming out of the guns, and it was realistic, bouncing off different cars, bouncing off the concrete. You hear the you hear it, even though that's a horrible sound effect, but it was like, okay, this is realistic to a point because I hear it. I truly hear it. It ain't like Homestead, which had some horrible sound design. This was like, nope. They went to a gun range, they got some footage, and they used the sound effects. So fantastic there. The story itself, I also thought it was pretty good. Just how it was a little bit different about going from point A to point B to point C and what these characters were doing. And having, different bantering between the feds and the actual sheriffs in LA. And also, some of the bantering with the thieves and what's going to go right, wrong, and how are they going to get to this, or how are they going to succeed in this endeavor. Longevity. Like I said, I watched the unrated version actually, and the theatrical version is 2 hours and 20 minutes. The theatrical or the unrated version is 2 hours and 29 minutes. So it's about a 9-minute difference. You can tell where the new scenes were. And what I mean by that is there were weird jump edits, or you could tell there was like a quick cut to add these different 8 minutes. Is it needed? I don't think it added new action. I think it added new story about Gerard Butler and his wife and other elements of, what some of the thieves were talking about, what some of the cops were talking about. So it's not so much a needed experience, but I think it adds depth to some of the characters. Some of the negatives, some of the choices of the characters. So the very end, there is a battle sequence in, sorry about that, in a corridor, if you want to put it that way, of a highway. What I mean is there's a construction site, and it's basically a 2-lane road, right? And the cops are about 30 cars down. The thieves are about right here. And you know for a fact a gun battle is going to occur. But the cops wouldn't do a gun battle, though, because there are 30 cars in between. Each car has men, women, children, old ladies, dogs in them. You're not going to endanger these people for just a couple things of cash. You're just not going to do it. You're going to wait. You're going to call it in saying, hey, we have this truck on X. Let's try to get them closer to the 30 range. Because when they do a pan out of a drone shot, there's a lot of cars that don't have people in them and some do. So you can tell that this was very staged. And you're like, at a point, I understand what you're going for. But that just isn't good police work when it comes to, yes, you want to catch the bad guys, but you're putting easily, if you're 20, 30 cars ahead, 2 lanes, let's just put 2 people in a car, that's 60 people in danger, and you're just not going to do it because you'd get fired. Just the protocol wouldn't work. And like I said, did it need to be 2 hours and 20 minutes, or I saw the 2-hour and 29-minute movie? No. There are some scenes that could be cut out, especially with Gerard Butler and his wife, and maybe there are some scenes that I would have liked more with probably the children than the wife, and then what he did with this character in a very rich house, which you're thinking, oh, if that's the case, how long has she known him? Or was it a first-time date? I don't know. It's one of the things where you just go, okay, fair enough. But overall, Den of Thieves, to me, this was a breath of fresh air when it comes to the old school, gritty, nitty, just bank robber. No bullshit, no zaniness, no Yeah, there might be 1 or 2 scenes with 50 Cent's daughter. And of course, the prom scene to try to do something fun with that. But the overall premise of this movie isn't about joking, isn't about, the weird, oh, this is fun. No, this is no shit. Get to point A to point B to point C and take that money. So Den of Thieves will receive a 4 out of 5 blue futons, which equals that 80%. We'll see the critics' news scores gave this one. Critics, 41% with 135 of them. Audience score is 63% with over 250K, 2.5K. Critic consensus. Den of Thieves plays energetic homage to classic heist thrillers of the past. Unfortunately, it never comes close to living up to those obvious inspirations. I mean, that's the thing, though. Does it need to be as good or come close? I think it comes pretty close, but I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Of course, Heat is 10 times better, but you kind of get what I'm saying at. Now, I love Rotten Tomato, how janky it is. A 3 out of 5, they say it's a negative, but a 3 out of 5, according to Rotten Tomato, is a positive. That's a 60%. So, interesting. So, I'm going to say very, very interesting. 41, 63, 80. Chase out here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know things Blue Futontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. From a great down. Watch us tape tomorrow, week from a month, on a year from now, every single freaking one of you. Peace and love, peace and love. And yeah, let's see how Den of Thieves 2 really is. Because I'm curious. Because how this ends, it looks like it is going to be a diamond heist. The second one is a diamond heist. But there's no way it's a 7-year gap. Right?